Hello, beautiful strangers, and welcome back to another episode of Sakura no Mori Dreamers. When last we left off, well, we are aware that Tomo-chan is a girl. I mean, Madoka-chan is a girl. If I read Madoka Magica or Madoka's Box, I probably would make a reference to that, but I've not read either of them. Oh, I've read a little bit of Madoka's Box, but is it Madoka's Box or is it Madoka? Fuck, I don't remember. I don't remember things. I'm scatterbrained, or so I like to say. But yeah, nothing else happened. Nothing at all. There was no hit and run accidents. No woman with the backwards head. None of it. None of it. Nothing like that happened. It was all a dream. Nothing bad ever happens in this visual novel. So let's get back into it, shall we, with this slightly somber music to guide us. Let's dig in. Let's dig in. Munch, munch. I could barely taste the food. I was still in shock. Miyako's cooking was always delicious, but today it felt bland. You seem kind of down today. Have you got a cold? Not really. I shook my head. I knew Hatsune was worried, but I didn't have the energy to talk. Feeling kind of tired too, Mom? I had a long day at work. Both Miss Miyako and I barely talked, making this the quietest dinner we'd ever had. Only the sounds of the TV filled the room. We almost always had the news on during breakfast and dinner. Oh God. Do not want. For our next story, police responded to a pedestrian fatality in Sakura no Mori City this afternoon. She had been declared dead at the scene when the paramedics arrived. From the markings on the road, police believe this to be a hit-and-run incident. Yes, I know there is what appears to be a woman on the screen. The closest thing I can do to a news voice is a bad male news voice. I can't do a female one, unfortunately. I mean, I can barely do a male one, and even that one's not even really competent. But, I can try or something. Oh no, that's nearby. Hatsune frowned as the reporter mentioned the area of the accident. Yeah, I have no idea why anyone would think to speed on our roads. It's terrible. You two be careful when you're crossing the roads, okay? You might be doing everything correctly, but you never know what kind of person might be behind the wheel. That is actually very good advice. No matter where you live and who you are, you never know who's driving the however many ton death machines. So, be careful when you cross the road. Okay. Okay. My cat. Though I'd see them off to their apartments every day, tonight I was far more cautious of my surroundings. There were barely any cars in this area so late at night. I hope the bastard gets caught. Yeah. Huh? Ooh. I'm talking about that hit-and-run incident on the news earlier. Oh. Hatsune gave me a somewhat confused nod. It must have been a very unnatural thing to bring that up. Bye-bye. See ya. Good night. I'm home. My whole body felt heavy. I didn't know that woman, but seeing her like that must have affected me more than I thought. Which is understandable. Just because you didn't know somebody, you saw something like that happen. I mean, my throat just kind of went weird. Reacting like that, being in shock, negative emotions, really, to seeing something like that, it's not a bad thing. You're only human after all. I didn't want anyone else to die around me. Are you foreshadowing at me, game? You don't typically say stuff like that unless you're foreshadowing at me. Because either lots of people are going to die around him, or nobody's going to die because he's going to become a hero of justice, or whatever other cliches, tropes you want to toss in. You better not be foreshadowing at me. I'd already had more than enough of that with my parents. Hi, Kat. Can I help you with something? I thought to go straight to bed. So I took a bath a bit earlier than usual. Oh, okay. I was kind of confused for a moment there. I thought to go straight to bed, so I went and took a bath. No, it's okay. I went to take one earlier than usual. Hi, Kat. There was a message from Madoka on my phone. I could have told her I was sleepy and went straight to bed, but I kind of felt like seeing her face today. Huh? You already in your pajamas? Yeah, I thought about going to bed a bit early today. That's unusual. Why? Are you not feeling well? You do kind of look a bit down. I shook my head, but it didn't seem like it got through to her. Tell me if it gets worse. I can always come over and help. Or are those two in your house today? I shook my head again. I guess I can tell her. Hi, Kat. I suddenly felt like telling her everything. I'm not sick. Actually, what happened was... Are you serious? I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I hope they don't take too long to catch the culprit. Yeah. We've got to be more careful too. It's even more dangerous when you're on a bike. It's true. Anyway, I think I'll go to bed already. Okay. Good night. Good night. I kind of broke my promise with Miss Miyako, but I felt like I could trust Madoka with this. Besides, talking about it definitely made me feel better. Tell me if it gets worse. I can always come over and help. Madoka seemed to have quite a kind side to her. I never thought much of it before. Good morning. Good morning? Seems like they caught the guy. Oh, I see. They're talking about it now. I sat down at the table and looked at the TV. According to the police, the suspects claim that he felt as though he were possessed. I wonder if he's one of those wannabe street racers. It's very strange. He's saying he suddenly felt like running over someone out of nowhere. Huh? I turned my eyes to the TV, but they had already moved on to a different story. News anchor lady on the TV looks familiar, and I can't place why. Like, I've seen that design in something else, and I don't remember what. Like the hair, the face, I don't know. I think it's just the fact that it's not super detailed, that you can kind of, if you think of something or if you think about it, you can put somebody else's face on there. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't remember, and I couldn't even say it's a manga or a visual novel. But something like that. I mean, hell, it might be a wrestling thing. I don't know, because I don't watch a ton of Joshi, but I've watched a little bit of it, and actually also it could be Mihoabe. Maybe that's what it is. No, not really. Anyway, then was it murder? Apparently, they said something along the lines of charges being changed to homicide. Yeah, running someone over with the purpose is typically murder. I also think you typically get negligent homicide if you hit and run, even if it was an accident. If you hit and run and don't turn yourself in and don't stay, whatever, it's negligent homicide. Hitting somebody, Just accidentally hitting them, I think, is just manslaughter. Which, to be fair, sounds worse than homicide, because it's like, oh, what did you do? Oh, homicide. What did you do? I slaughtered a man. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just weird like that. He felt as though he were possessed. What was that even supposed to mean? Goodness gracious. You never know what kind of strange people you might find under the sun. Yeah. At that moment, a strange feeling overtook me. It was like an odd sense of discomfort, like a step of a staircase suddenly disappearing underfoot. I've lived in Sakura no Mori all my life. I thought I knew all there was to know about it, its every nook and cranny. But now I felt as though it had a side I'd never witnessed before. One Sunday, Madoka turned down my invitation to go cycling again. I found myself with nothing to do. I spent some time lying around in my room, but eventually I decided to go out by myself. Might as well ride to the plateau again. It was a bit late, but I could still probably make it. The days were getting longer lately anyway. Others' view. It hurts. Madoka lay in a fetal position on her bed, holding her stomach. The mere thought of this pain being a part of her life every month from now on made her skin crawl. Her mother congratulated her when it came for the first time, but was this something to really be so happy about? Madoka couldn't think of it as anything other than an annoyance of a disease. It was as though her body had jumped on an escalator you couldn't get off from without her permission or even knowledge. She was envious of Shinji for not having to put up with this. Up until now, she could keep up and do everything with him. But that was starting to change. It felt kind of lonely, but for whatever reason, not exactly sad or depressing. Yes? Madoka, does your tummy hurt? I can't. Yeah. I see. There's something I need to tell you. I can only catch you on Sundays, so... Okay, I'll come down. I'm sorry, but I appreciate it. Madoka's mother silently closed the door. Madoka sensed it was something serious from her unusually solemn tone. She pulled her heavy body out of bed and climbed downstairs. Both her parents were sitting on the sofa waiting for her. The odd move made her forget about her condition for a moment. Her father pointed at the chair in front of him, and Madoka sat down on it. Madoka, to be fully honest with you, as it turns out, we've got to move. Huh? Move out? I couldn't get in the mood without a rival. I wasn't even keeping track of my time, but I must have been way slower than before. It was probably a bit unbalanced with us being of different sexes, but Madoka was, without a doubt, a good adversary. Phew. The joy of having reached the finish line was a bit dulled when alone. I could spot many hikers on the plateau today. I laid my bike on the grass and sat down next to it. I opened the bag of sweet rolls I bought at the convenience store along the road. Munch. I ate lunch before reading, but riding a bike would always make me hungry. I had nothing else to do after finishing my roll. My goal had simply been to come here, so I didn't even think about what to do after I arrived. I didn't have to when Madoka was around. Phew. I ended up lying on the ground on my back. It was the first time I tried that, but it felt surprisingly pleasant. It was as though the cold earth slowly sucked away my exhaustion. Oh, damn. Okay. Now, this is some thrilling music here. I was being chased by someone, but who? I didn't know. All I could tell was that it was something terrible. The bloodlust in the air was palpable. It was chasing me with an undeniable intent to kill. Eek. Eek. The fuck says eek? Yeah, whatever. He's being chased for his life. I can't fault him too much. I used my stiff back muscles to turn and look back. It was still there. I remember I haven't ridden a bike in years because I don't own one anymore. Because the one that I had was stolen and I didn't care enough to buy a new one. That was a long time ago. That was over 10 years ago, I think. But I used to ride a bike a lot, and what we would do, like me and friends and whatnot, what we would do to look behind us the most consistently was to look down between our arms. While it would be kind of upside down, you would, we found it was easier to keep your balance. But, you know, if you're a professional biker, then, you know, you're not a professional, but active athlete, you know, so and so on, it might be easier. I don't know. Just a interesting little tidbit there. I could barely catch my breath, more from terror than mere exhaustion. Damn it. God damn it. Words that I'd barely used in my normal life kept spilling from my mouth. It was still following me. This was the most difficult part. No matter how quick I was, I had to brake here, or I'd have ended up on the other side of the guardrail. I squeezed my brakes at the last moment, and my blood turned to ice. The sudden snap of wires coming apart traveled along my fingertips. Huh? Confused, I pulled again on the brakes with all my strength. Normally, this would have made the bicycle flip over on the front wheel and launch my body like a catapult, but nothing happened. The brake lever just limply pressed against the handle. The wheel continued to turn at the same speed as before. I couldn't clear that corner at this speed. Ah! Yeah, not going to yell in terror into the microphone. The instant my bike met the guardrail, everything flew out from underneath me. My body was launched into the darkness, and I blacked out. I think that probably was actually supposed to be more of a... I slowly opened my eyelids. My head felt heavy and hurt a little bit. I sat like that for a couple of seconds, unable to comprehend what had happened or where I was. I keep forgetting my push to mute button is, does both of them do that? Yeah, that does. That's odd. What about the one on my mouse? One. Testing? No, my mouse one is broken. That's bad. Okay. Okay then. Oh, that's even weirder. I have my push to mute on my mouse set to my back mouse button. It's not anymore. It's now my front mouse button, and I don't know why because I've never changed it. How very odd. I sat like that for a couple of seconds, unable to comprehend what happened or where I was. My eyes didn't seem to have gotten used to the darkness yet, so I could barely see anything. I slowly inspected my body, part by part. As weird as it may sound, this wasn't the first time I did something like this. I did the exact same thing when my plane crashed into the mountains. There was no way I could forget it, though the details of the event had already blurred in my mind. Luckily, it seemed like the only pain I felt at that moment was the headache. That was quite a miracle given the height I'd fallen from. A light from above made my head turn upwards. I spotted my bike hanging in the branches. Did that end up saving my life? My eyes finally got used to the darkness. My heart almost stopped. Lovely picture. Lovely thing to see when you first wake up. Reminds me a bit of Metal Gear Solid 3 actually, but that's mostly unrelated. Then it started beating like crazy. I was cold just moments ago, but now I was starting to sweat from every pore. Maybe after I beat Dark Souls 2, because I think I'll beat it at this point. I'm over halfway. I'm pretty sure I'm over halfway. Maybe I should try doing a replay of Metal Gear Solid games before I start up Bloodborne. Whatever. Who knows? I'll think about that. Then it started beating like crazy. I was cold just moments ago, but now I was starting to sweat from every pore. I tried to swallow, but my throat was too dry. Actually, I'll tell you what this sort of music reminds me of. Like, it does remind me somewhat of adventure games. It also reminds me a lot of, I don't know what it is about the instrument, but it reminds me a lot of the first-person dungeon crawling games from, I think they were DOS games, like Ravenloft or Eye of the Beholder. Yeah, those games. I tried to swallow, but my throat was too dry. Hello? I slowly got back to my feet. There wasn't even the slightest hint of pain. The plane crash that claimed my parents had taken place in the summer. The smell at the site became unbearable after a single night. But I couldn't smell anything of the kind right now. That didn't change the fact that the crumpled corpse in front of me was creepy as hell, though. It was a dead body, right? The girl's eyes didn't look like they had any life in them. What? Something wet around her stomach. There was a sizable stain on her blouse. It looked black in the dim lighting. At first, I thought she was someone who fell like me. But upon closer inspection, her clothes looked far too casual for someone who had ventured this far into the mountains. I took my smartphone out of my backpack. Somehow, it survived the fall. I turned on the flashlight function. Though I already expected as much, under the light of my phone, the stain on her dress shone a deep crimson red. I couldn't spot any other wounds on her body. Was it possible to hurt yourself like that from a fall? What am I even doing? I used my phone to call the police. Luckily, it had signal here. I ended up in the police station for the second time in a short while. They asked me all sorts of questions, but I could barely answer anything. I had found a corpse when I woke up. That was all I could tell them, which hardly helped their investigation. I was pretty sure it was murder, but the police didn't tell me anything. There was also another thing on my mind, and that was a bit more important as far as I was concerned. The officer interviewed me widened his eyes when he first heard it, but my description was so vague he soon lost interest. I was being chased by someone or something. What or who was it? I didn't know. All I could tell was that it was something dangerous, and it wanted to kill me. That terror wasn't something I could soon forget, but the police didn't seem interested. It was probably because I had no idea who or what it could have been. I had no acquaintances among the local delinquents, and I didn't do anything to warrant a grudge as far as I was aware. The most likely possibility was a random madman, but it was pretty weird for one to wander so deep in the mountains. I myself just realized how crazy it sounded when I explained it out loud. The police had me checked out by a paramedic before interviewing me. It didn't seem like I had suffered any injuries, but the medic told me to get thoroughly checked out tomorrow. Shinji! Huh? Hatsune? And Madoka? Madoka seemed more surprised by Hatsune's behavior than my state. Hatsune hugged me with all her might as though to reassure herself I was really there. I gave Miss Miyako a questioning look. You didn't come back after the sun went down, so we got worried. Oh, I see. Then we got a call from the police, and it was quite the shock for all three of us. That explained why Madoka was there. It was a bit unusual for her to be in my house, though. I'm sorry. Hatsune hurriedly pulled away from me. It's okay. She seemed more concerned about Madoka's reaction than mine. What happened? You were really worried. I'll tell you as we walk. Are you sure you can? Yeah. I wasn't really hurt. I suppose there's a silver lining to everything. I heard you fell from quite high up. Huh? Your brake line snapped? Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself. I'm sure I set them properly, and if I hadn't, I figured I'd noticed something was off. Maybe someone thought to pull a prank on you while you were sleeping. Who would think to do such an awful thing, though? But I can't think of anything else. There's no way new brake wires could just up and snap like that. Yeah. I told the police about it as well, but they showed little interest. My bike fell from the trees by itself a little later, and the police retrieved it for me. Maybe I could find something out if I gave it a closer look. I made a mental note to do that later. Got that bike from your dad. I don't think it can be fixed in that state. Well, the important part is that you didn't get hurt. I nodded, though I couldn't completely shake off the bitter taste in my mouth. I really did my best to keep that bike in good condition and take care whenever I used it. I really loved that bike. So, were you in a hurry because it was growing dark? Yeah, that's part of it, but I told the two about how someone chased me. Miss Miyako was with me in the police station, so she already knew. Someone was chasing you? Who? Was he on a road bicycle too? I hadn't really thought of it, but whoever was chasing me had to have some means of transportation. I don't know. Police didn't pay much attention to that story either. And then I ended up finding a corpse on top of everything. The two of them looked completely dumbstruck. I'm pretty sure it was a murder victim. It might show up on the news tomorrow. I found 2 bodies within a short amount of time. Just what's going on with my life. And both of them were murder victims at that. That couldn't have been anything but a coincidence. I knew that, yet I still felt like I wandered into a different world. And the fact I'd been running from an invisible murderer early on only added to that theory. Anyway, I'll be going home. Okay. Good night. Good night. Oh, by the way, were you in my house or something? Yeah, I kinda was. Oh, that's true. You said you had something to tell Shinji. Me? That was definitely unusual. If there was something, she could have always told me through the window. I'll tell you next time. I'm sure you're tired after what happened today. I'm not that tired. Madoka shook her head and disappeared into her house. Phew. Perhaps I was quite tired after all. Maybe it was because I was finally able to relax, but all my strength left me as soon as I walked through the door. Shinji, you still have to eat dinner. That's right. I realized how hungry I was when I caught the sight of food lining the table. You're waiting for your return. Let's hurry and eat. What do you think we should do today, Mom? What do you mean? I mean, after all this has happened. It seemed like Hatsune was wondering whether it would be okay to leave me all alone in the house. Nah, I'm okay now. You don't have to push yourself. I'm not. I shook my head as Miss Miyako nodded. Bye. Good night. Good night. I didn't feel like seeing them all the way to their apartment today, so we parted ways in front of the house instead. I took an early bath and prepared for bed. The light was still on in Madoka's room. I was a bit curious after what she wanted to tell me, but exhaustion ultimately won me over. I turned off the light and slipped into bed. Well, that has taken an interesting turn, and I think this is where I'm going to end off this episode. Next time, what will the short-term fallouts be for, a possible attempted murder, falling off a tall cliff? I mean, that was a very tall cliff from the looks of that CG background or whatever. So it's interesting that he survived, but find out the answer to, well, I guess not really the answer to that, because I don't think we're ever going to find out how he fell off how he survived a fall that big. You usually don't in anything, really. But we will hopefully find out the short-term consequences and reactions of him being chased and falling off a cliff. So find out the answer to that and more next time. I hope to see you all there.